Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope your day's finding you well. Steve Lynch here. Hey, I've been having this thought lately, and it stems from basically the position of our nation and where we're at as a society. And it's a shame. It's truly a shame what has happened. And what has happened is not a sudden thing. What has happened is a culmination of years and decades. I don't care what your propaganda, indoctrination, lack of moral compass, whatever you want to call it. But we've headed in a direction, and I'm only 39, that in this society, it used to be I could have a differing opinion with somebody. We'd have a conversation to talk about it. We would talk about it. It doesn't mean that the discussion is to lead that person to be on my side and now think exactly like me. It was more to obviously hear what other people are thinking and feeling, process that. I would always internalize that and figure, if there's something that I can do personally that maybe I didn't realize was affecting somebody else, in a negative way, and there was something that was within me to change, and I desired to change, and I saw that it was a valid change, or you find common ground, and but whatever. And there used to be able to be on a mass scale, from the masses, the ability to come to common ground. It's gone. And I just posted something real quick on Facebook today, and that is, if the state of Facebook and other social media platforms is what's happening in our nation, we are gone. And you hear stuff going on with Texas, and they've had these conversations, and actually at some point there was somewhere upwards of about 20 states talking about seceding from the nation. And everybody just blows that off. But I have a suggestion, and I have a thought. And this suggestion, it has nothing to do with race, and it has everything to do with how people feel, or what they feel is the best way to move forward and to kind of live as a society. And I don't want to overgeneralize by basically saying there's kind of two trains of thought here, two schools of thought here, but let's just call it like it is. One basically side of this nation, and I don't know what the percentages are on this, but definitely thinks opposite, whether it's social issues, fiscal conservative, if you're fiscally conservative, or you think that money should just be spent for every flipping program possible, and that the federal government and the government in general has the best ability to know exactly what to do to make things right for people. And I don't think that way, but some people do. So instead of fighting about this, why don't we figure out the percentages of the nation that want to live under, we'll call it more of a socialist. I'll use socialist so that people won't think I'm talking derogatory. I would even call it communist, but let's call it social, under a socialistic utopia, which is what part of this nation thinks is the best way to go. Even though in every country that it's ever been explored with, it ends up bad. But again, not really opinion, just got to look at history. But you have people that feel, and say it's 25% of the people, or 30%, whatever, let's call it 50-50. And then you have other people that feel that there should be the family has power. The power does not come from the government. The power is sovereignly given to us from God. People that are basically in exact opposite of what other individuals feel. And what's happening now is people are fighting over it left and right. And again, no common ground. Nothing. So let's look at this nation. You know, our federal government wastes so much money on things that absolutely not only are a waste of money, but are actually almost building our own prison, the nation's own prison. But let's look at the percentages. Let's look at the nation. And let's take our tax dollars and divvy up the nation. And create states that there's certain states and areas that are deemed to be, we'll call it a run in a socialistic fashion. We actually help people locate there. And then for people who want to live under a more libertarian, conservative type of, call it constitution or whatever you want to call it, and want to abide by, let's say, the Constitution of this nation. Because many people want to do away with it. Maybe we can divide it at, you want to live under the Constitution, or do you not want to live under the Constitution and Bill of Rights? And then we can divide it that way. But here's the thing. Once we make this adjustment, you aren't going to these other areas like, let's say California. We know California is a very liberal state. Is a state that does away with the Constitution, creates its own constitution or whatever rule of law that they want. People who are conservative are not going to come in there and change the ways of that state. You are going to abide by the rules and the laws of that specific state, or ultimately that part of the country that follows those specific rules. And you sure as hell are not going to do the opposite, coming into a state that has a constitution and it follows that specific rule of law. Then all you have to do is, well, you can't, you say you're bitching about it because you don't like the way things are. Get out. Go to an area where people think like you, because we can't even at this point just agree to disagree. At this point, everything is about, if you don't see my way, you're racist, you're a bigot, you're this, you're sexist, you hate females. That's the only rhetoric that comes out when people who do not agree with another side get labeled instead of having differing views. So now I don't know if this is a perfect solution. I really don't. I see it as a solution. It's definitely something that's not being talked about on a grand scale. I sure as heck wouldn't mind my federal tax dollars going towards something like this, with the understanding of, you want to come in and change the ways that certain things are being done. It's not even going to happen. It's not democratic. First of all, we're a constitutional republic. It's critical to understand the difference between the two. But, that I don't personally see how the change happens. I mean, I do on a spiritual side and on a heart side, but looking at where we are in the state of affairs of where we are, we got to do something different. It's the definition of insanity. We keep electing the same people, or even if they're different, it's chaotic. And then there's no confusion. No, you're actually living in the wrong state. So here we are. We're identifying where we're going to have that type of law, and you go live there. But when it's all said and done, and if certain components of certain things collapse, that is the bed you made, or you're going to come to the other side and live under those rules, because it's obviously been proven out that it works much more efficiently and effectively. And then the things that don't work, and I would love to see this happen, because it would be a very easy way to tell, to basically say, hey, here's your societal project that was worked on, this hypothesis that wanted to be run in this nation, and look what happened. The proof will be, in the pudding. I already know what'll happen, because I actually study history, and history tells you what'll happen. We're all human beings. So if human beings were doing it in the past and they're doing something like it now in the present and ultimately in the future, what's changing the outcome? We've been here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Still human nature. Nothing's changed in that capacity. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, or if you have some different suggestions, And it's not about, we're already divided. Someone will say, well, that's just dividing the nation further. Really? Are we getting divided further? No, I think it'll actually bring some joy. People will be able to live under whatever, law and rule of law that has been set for what their desires are, and then create laws around what those two sects of people desire to have, and then you sleep in the bed that you made. Let's try it. Let's try it. Again, love to hear your thoughts. Have a great day.